Good evening. This is about to be a rapid fire because I have things to do. I just watched a video on Dawson Speaks about another COGIC pastor who were caught messing with children. I have questions for COGIC. Number one, why is it that your denomination prioritized the adults more than the children? The reason why I pose this question is because in that particular video down there in Tallahassee, the man was suspended from his duties, but he wasn't disfellowshipped. I'm just curious with these types of allegations and the reality of child sexual abuse, right? It's harder for the court system to believe a child, believe it or not. They vet those children far more than they do adults. Children go through more when it comes to those cases because of the proof and all of this. And I'm just curious to know, why wasn't he disfellowshipped? Is that not something you all consider or even do? And if you don't, why not? Because there should be a clear message. The only way this is going to stop coming out of your denomination, it's when everyone see on a global level that, wow, if I'm found out dealing with kids, they are going to put me out. Like, I won't have a church home, nobody, I'll be shunned, right? And the thing is, you all won't do that. And it just kind of remind me of that scripture when Jesus talking about the children coming to him, and for whatever reason you all don't realize those children are the future of your church. And if children don't feel safe where they worship, 9 times out of 10 they're not going to worship with you anymore, and you can tell by your church decline. Another thing, you all have this youth department, youth auxiliary and everything. Why isn't it there a push from the youth department that we need some laws in place within our church? It would be beautiful if COGIC set the precedents that would lead to federal and state entities saying, hey, this church has a rule that, the way they handling these predators is something we can learn from. But instead of you all doing that, you always prioritize grown, rusty, funky behind men. And I don't understand, why do you value the adults more than the children? And those children are watching this. They already know, oh, you're going to take up for him because of who he is and who he go to church with, and who he kin to, who he connected to. Those children grow up seeing it, and that's why the allegations don't come forward. So these are the allegations we're aware of, but do you realize how many, probably a couple hundred children sitting in your denomination being abused by members and or leadership? I'm just curious because it's just, right now it's concerning to me that we're seeing so many cases, not just coming out of COGIC, but we're seeing so many cases of child sexual abuse. And the other thing I'm noticing, because of Corey Holcomb, how people discuss pedophilia, and there isn't any outrage or or, or anything. There's no nothing from the Black community. We don't counsel them. We don't give them any social or spiritual consequences. We try to protect them from legal consequences. And I can say, for me, it just creates a point of sorrow in my heart for innocent children. It does. When you see these young people out there in their early 20s and they wilding, they on drugs, they drinking, they're partying, they're hypersexual, the studies show that more than likely they've been sexually abused, and they're angry. That's their pain. That's their trust shattered, their innocence robbed manifesting. And when they get to drinking and drugs, they're trying to escape. But you all want it, they carry something that heavy, and you all want to even shun and disfellowship grown, funky behind people who do this to children. So when did we get to the point in Black America that we value the adult and the perpetrator and the predator more than children? I don't think this is a new dynamic, because I recall hearing about children who were molested or fondled or I mean, just I'm gonna leave it alone. And the first thing come out of the adult's mouth, and it be their own parent or their relative or community member. Well, you don't want them to lose their job. Now you don't want to call the police on them. You don't want to, they still got to work. They still got bills to pay. And it is so sick. And in the year 2026, I would think we're better than that. And not only that, look how many of these pastors, their degrees are in behavioral health. That's the thing. So you would think with all of these educated leaders who are familiar with behavioral health, who have, acquired their degree in clinical social work or counseling, they would be the main ones. Like, listen, this is a real problem. I've been to college. I've seen the data. This is what needs to be done to protect our children. Honestly, right now, there should not be any youth programs hosted by any ministries no more. That's just my personal opinion. And you see people sit online and they're viral about church gossip and drama, but there isn't no virality to churches taking a position that we're going to protect our children. We're going to do what the word says when it comes to these children. We can't do nothing about what grown behind people want to do with their soul, if they want to straddle the fence, if they want to be apostates and all of that. We can't do nothing about that. But what we can do is protect the children, cover them, protect them. I told you all about a dream I had. I was on this bus. It was a school bus. And we stopped in front of this church. And that school bus was filled with children, little Black children, boys and girls. And they were singing and they were laughing. They were having such a good time on that bus. And we stopped in front of a church. It was the church looked, light brown. It looked like it was built in the 60s or 70s, light brown brick and everything. And we stopped in front of that church. Them children screamed, blood curdling, bone chilling screams. And they said, please don't make us go in there. Please. And you heard a little one screaming and saying, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. Then you heard, it was just something I never forgot. Every time I see these cases, I remember that dream. And those children didn't want to go into the church. They didn't feel safe there. They were terrified. And in the natural, I understand why a child would get dressed with their parent, grandparent, or relative, and they walk into that sanctuary and they're afraid. They're afraid because they know that they're not being protected. They're afraid because no one may listen, and they may be told to not say anything because of cultural norms. The same fear that the kids on the bus felt. And I told the bus driver, go, 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 go. And we drove off. And the Lord told me to cover my children, cover them. And it was like a massive comforter descended onto those children, and they were covered under it. You couldn't see them. They were up under that big, 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 thick comforter. And they got quiet, and everything got peaceful again. Hopefully comfort will come, but those are my questions. I appreciate you for answering them. Have a good night.